Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of All in All with Alex. I'm your host, of course, Alex. Today, we have a very special guest in the building, Miss Bracha Goetz. How you doing today?
Great. Great job with my name.
Well, I get them wrong sometimes. I just, but so can you give the people a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll dive into the questions.
Sure. Okay. So I'm the author of 42 children's books. All these books, they help children shine. That's what they all have in common. And then I'm also the author of one memoir for adults about my journey to joy, basically. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sounds good. So what inspired you to start writing children's books focused on spiritual growth?
Yeah, good question. Focused on spiritual growth. I like that. So I wanted to write the books that I wished I had as a child, like basic answers to like the deepest stuff about life. That's what I love to write about. And I do it like in a joyful way so children can understand and really absorb the answers. They're questions that every child has. I mean, most children have. So I wished I had books like these, so I just started writing them. Yeah.
Huh? Okay, so so can you share your story behind your memoir, nourish the soul, feeling the emptiness within?
Thank you. Thank you for really researching about me. I so appreciate it. It's so nice when the host of a show really does the research. So, yeah, nourish the soul. I'll hold it up. Nourish the soul, filling the emptiness within. It's really, I write really short books for children. So, this book, I did not write it. I compiled it. So it's kind of like a documentary that you're watching because I took the actual entries into my diaries and my journals and my letters. And I saw there was a pattern when I went back in my life and I saw there was a thread. So you watch me, if you read the book, you actually experience along with me what it's like to develop food addictions and then how to heal from them. Because in the book, you kind of experience it with me, like what it's like to be in the throes of addiction in all the really raw and painful details. And then what it's like to heal from that. Um, so uh, people that have read this, they can't believe like how raw and candid I am because I really went into like I guess the most shameful parts of my life and just put them out there. But when you do that, you let other people know that they can go there too into the real shadow parts of themselves and look at it and be okay with it and move on in life. So that's that's the experience of this memoir.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like having that rawness where you can express everything about yourself, no matter how good or how bad it is. I feel like that builds rapport with the audience,
Yes.
and having that rapport, it makes them become an even bigger fan because it's like, oh man, she's not afraid to actually say everything without trying to hold anything back, and it makes people want to dive in deeper. So.
Exactly, because everybody's got darkness inside of them. When we bring it out into the sunlight, that's the whole thing with addictions. You're doing everything secretly. Nobody knows what you're doing. And 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 there's tons of shame involved in hiding it. You put a ton of energy into keeping it a secret. So once you bring it out into the light, it's just so healing to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that your education at Harvard influenced your writing career?
Yeah. Well, okay. I went to Harvard. Like, my parents were like, "What are you doing?" Like, it wasn't like the way they brought me up to do a thing like that, but like I was I was searching so desperately for the purpose to life. So I couldn't find it. I tried like different religions and different things, and and finally I just said, "Okay, I'm just going to study really hard, learn about everything." So I started doing really well in school at the end of high school, and somehow I got into like Harvard, and it was like, whoa, no one could believe it. I remember I was working at a grocery store, and I was the checkout person, and I wasn't too good at it, and the line was forming really long, and like they were berating me and everything, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm only going to be here for another week because I'm going to Harvard next week." And they were like, "Oh my gosh, she thinks she's going to Harvard. Is that a joke?" It was like they were cracking up. The whole place thought it was the funniest thing. And it was like, it was really, really funny. I don't know why I'm telling this story. I never told that before. But like, the thing is, like, at Harvard, I figured I want to go there because it seems like the highest place of wisdom. So I'll tell you what I learned there. It's in the book too, this garden party story. I got invited to this party because of my boyfriend, and it was like all these really, the children of the very famous people were there. You know, Kennedys, Moynahans, Rockefellers, like, and I felt like that's it. I'm at the top of the mountain now. I've like made it. And I found out that all these people were just like everybody else, people looking for something more in life. Like, there they were, the biggest big shots, and there was nothing there. They were no different than anybody else. That's what it was, a really great experience for me because I felt like there was no more illusion. Like, I got to the top and there's nothing up there. And then what happened on this beautiful day in May, the sky filled up with storm clouds, and there was a huge thunderstorm. So the whole party was ruined and everyone goes running. And I'm thinking to myself, even really powerful people can't stop the rain from coming down. Like, there is something more than this, but I don't know what there is. So, in a way, I got even more despondent than before because I hit the top and there was nothing there. So then what is there to strive for in life? What why is life worth living? So I continued to search for that. I graduated actually with honors from Harvard, and I went on to medical school, and I wanted to be a psychiatrist. Um, but the thing was, I didn't know why life was worth living. So how could I be a good psychiatrist? I went to Israel that summer, and I got to learn about my own heritage, which I did not think was a spiritual one. I didn't know about my heritage. And I learned about like deep spiritual stuff. And what I found out is that there is a purpose to living. And I found out that what fills us up within, and why addictions are so prevalent, is that we try desperately to fill ourselves up with external things, whether it's food, money, whatever the addiction is, alcohol, drugs, and it covers up the pain. It brings temporary comfort. Like, why do we keep stuffing our faces? Because it brings immediate pleasure, immediate gratification. So I might as well keep stuffing my face because I feel a scarcity of pleasure in my life. So, what we're really here for, what I finally learned from ancient mystical wisdom, this is not coming from my head, is that the hole that we feel, that we all feel, that emptiness within us, it's not a physical hole. And that hunger that we feel is genuine, but the hunger, is for a spiritual hunger. And what fills that hole is gratitude. Gratitude is what fills us up, and nothing else really gives us lasting pleasure in life.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. That's a good way to put it. So what are some of the core messages that you aim to convey through your children?
Okay, great question. Oh my gosh. I One thing that I'm conveying is that we are all souls. We look like we're just bodies, but this is just the clothing for our souls. So we have to nourish our souls every day, just like we nourish our bodies. And some of my books are about how to stay healthy, how to keep our bodies healthy, which is important because they house our souls. I have books like Let's Stay Healthy. Um, I have books teaching children about how to be sensitive to other children that have disabilities. And like one of that example, here's one of the examples. When we see a child with a disability, we normally stare. With anybody who has a disability, everybody stares. And that's fine because we're curious. But there's another 5-letter word, and it also begins with S, like stare. And that word is smile. If we add a smile when we stare at somebody, not laugh at them, but smile, then we create a bridge, we create a bond, we create a relationship. And that is what all children need to learn. And I teach them all about different disabilities, how to interact, um, because some very often children just don't know how to interact with somebody that has a disability. And there's visible and invisible disabilities, and how like invisible disabilities are like many children don't have social skills, how to ask them to be included, so that usually they're the loneliest children with disabilities. So, and then I have books about the prevention of abuse, and that is so important because all of us are like, we all have shining souls, all of us. But when we have experienced abuse or neglect or trauma, it puts a covering on top of our souls. So we don't even realize that we're still shining. This soul, our souls are shining forever. So all we really have to do is nourish them, give them what they need, and then we usually need support to remove those layers so we can recognize that we're shining again. Because so many people that have gone through abuse or neglect, they don't feel worthy. They don't feel worthy of having joyful lives. We we can help and give support to people so that they can once again recognize that they have a beautifully shining soul that shines like no other soul. Every soul has its own beautiful light. And and when we nourish it, then it can shine as fully as possible. That's what my books do. They all, in their own ways, help children's souls to shine.
Okay. Okay. So is that flashlight your you should make that part of your merch some kind of way, your merchandise.
It could be. I don't have any merch. I mean, just my own books. But it's like it's an example of who we are. It's like an eternal light. We are. We all have this beautiful, beautiful soul inside of us that's shining. And one of my books is called The Invisible Book. It's it's about all the things in this world that are invisible. Like here's an example. I just got this. It's so cool. This is a magnet, and it could hold up paper clips or little pins. What is holding it up? It's an invisible force. It's electromagnetism. And
Mm-hmm.
what is, if I let go of this book, it just falls. There's an invisible force. It's called gravity. And we have feelings. You can't see my feelings. You can't see my thoughts. They're all invisible.
Mhm.
We see the effects of all these invisible things in this world. So it's not hard to believe that we too are invisible. Our essence is invisible. Our our spiritual selves, our souls are invisible. So that's why I have this to teach children. There's so many forces in this world that are invisible and we believe in them. So it's not far fetched, not hard at all to believe that we too are invisible and we are sparks
Mhm.
of a cosmic oneness, the source of energy that has created everything, all the amazing things in this world, including gravity and all the great stuff we have. And so I'm just making it more possible to believe that everybody can start to open their eyes and see that we need spiritual nourishment as much as we need physical nourishment.
I would agree. I would agree. So, man, you said you've written 42 books.
42 books are published so far, and there's three more coming out soon.
Wow.
And all of these are inside every single book is a message of gratitude. Sometimes it's more open and sometimes it's more hidden.
Mhm.
But if we can instill gratitude in children early on, then they have the secret to happiness for the rest of their lives. And here's another secret to writing children's books. Every age reads the books. The littlest children, and then adults are reading the books to the children. Even grandparents are reading the books to the children. And teenagers, when no one's looking, they pick up the books when they're laying around. So everybody gets the message inside of a children's book. So it's a very effective way to change the world. And hundreds of thousands of people are reading my books. And surprisingly enough, one of the favorite books of all, children tell me, are the books about the prevention of abuse. Why
Mhm.
is that? Because it makes children feel safer in the world, not more frightened. Children feel more empowered when they have guidelines for how to be in this world. They really appreciate getting these guidelines and absorbing them. Like one of the books I wrote, do I have it right here? It's let's swim safely. Children enjoy learning these rules and then they know how to swim more safely. That's a book for really young children because unfortunately toddlers have very high statistics, higher than any other group of drowning, and drowning is silent, which people don't realize. So it's so important to never take your eyes off a little child who's in the pool with you. Even in a bathtub, actually, we have to really watch very little children. I love teaching public health. I mean, it's something I was studying even as an undergraduate at Harvard, at the Graduate School of Public Health and Harvard Medical School. So I love teaching people how to be healthy both physically and spiritually.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. People don't understand. It's you know, everything comes together as one. So if you're not healthy in one, you're not going to be healthy in the other. So
It helps each other. They help each other. Exactly. They work together. Like everybody, here's another thing. What good is wealth without health? And if you really want to enjoy your wealth, the secret to enjoying wealth in life, we have a saying in the Jewish tradition, who is rich? Those who are grateful for what they have. There is no point to having things if we're not grateful for them. It's so easy to take things for granted. And it just changes our life if we really become grateful people. Any minute that we spend being grateful is a moment that we're not spending being miserable.
I agree. I agree. Um, so can you do you have any, maybe like a memorable reaction or feedback that you've got from a child or parent about one of your books? Like one that
Great.
just kind of stuck in your mind?
You have terrific questions. One, my favorite of all is people that contact me mainly online, some phone calls, but mainly online. People contact me to tell me that my books have saved their children's lives. There's nothing like that. Just learning how to prevent abuse saves lives. And recently, one of my newest books is Don't Read This Book for Children. This book took me 30 years to write.
Wow.
It teaches children, because I had the idea for this book, I had the title, I had most of the book written 30 years ago. But only recently did I come up with the surprise ending. And that's it. The book wasn't ready till then. It teaches children how to outsmart that voice in our head. There's a voice that we all have, grown ups, children, everybody. The voice is telling us to be miserable all day long. It's getting us to focus on what we're lacking. It tells us, oh, you have this, yeah, but you're missing that. You're lacking this. All day long, it's saying these things. So here's what we got to do. This book teaches us how to outsmart that voice. It says don't read this book because it's written by that voice. It doesn't want you to read this book or you'll be able to outsmart it and you'll become really happy in life. So children, young children are learning this. And I hear from parents now, they're telling me, my child read the book. He came out of bed and I said, are you listening to that voice? After they were put to bed, they come out of bed and go, and then they look, the child got right back in bed. They get it now. The voice is trying to get them to do wrong things and be miserable. So, how do we overcome it? We push off that voice. As soon as we learn to recognize that it's a voice, it's a personal trainer that we all have trying to get us miserable, and we grow our gratitude muscles, pushing it off. As soon as we recognize, oh my gosh, it's that voice trying to get me miserable, trying to get me to focus on what I'm missing. I'm going to push it off. And that's how I grow my gratitude muscles. Every time we push it off, our gratitude muscles get stronger.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of like on those movies when you see, you have a little mini angel on one shoulder and a little bitty devil on one shoulder, and one is trying to tell you to do one, and one is trying to tell you to do the other.
Exactly, exactly. We have inside our heads these two arguments going on, and everybody's got it. Don't everyone thinks, oh, I'm the only one hearing this. No, we all have it. And so once we realize this is normal and we realize this is a challenge that we are given in life to overcome all those negative voices and practice gratitude. Exactly like you said, they're in there, and we can make the the helpful force stronger, the more joyful force. Um, this battle is going on all day long, but we can become much more grateful people. And you know how when you travel on a road and that nobody's been on, if you're trying to go on drive a car, it's like all gravelly and hard.
Mhm.
But once you make those grooves in the road, it gets easier and easier. And that's what it is with our brain. When we create gratitude pathways, it gets easier and easier to practice it. And the more neurons, the more nerve fires that fire together, it creates wiring. And we have neuroplasticity in our brains. We can change our brains to become more grateful brains.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't know that, but I mean, if you most time if you want to change something or you want something to change, it can be done. It may just take a while of being repetitive to be able to train your brain to do that. But it's
Oh,
just
that's a great point. Listen to this. This is amazing. It takes, where is my statistic? I wrote it down. Oh, here. It takes 400 repetitions to create a new habit. But if you do it joyfully, you can get it down in 10 to 20 repetitions. You can get a new habit down if you do it joyfully. That is so amazing. That's why these books are so important. We teaching children in a joyful way and early in life as possible. You can get these skills for how to be a happy person early on in life, but we can still play catch up at any point in life. We can still change. And and here's another amazing study that they did a study of people before they did a study of people who won lotteries, like tons of money in a lottery. 6 months before they were this after 6 months after winning the lottery, they were at the same level of happiness they were at before they won the lottery. And God forbid, a person that becomes paralyzed, 6 months after they're paralyzed, they're the same level of happiness they were at before they became paralyzed. They don't change. It's not what happens to us, it's what happens for us. So basically, if we practice gratitude, we find that people that took on a gratitude practice, 6 months later, they had changed their happiness level and it stayed with them. That's what stays with us. Learning to become a more grateful person, it stays with us for life. While it's not, you think, oh, if I win the lottery, I'll be happy forever. That's not it. And even if something catastrophic, like, God forbid, a person gets hurt in a car accident, they can still become a grateful person. We all can. We all have that potential.
right, right. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. So, uh, what role do you believe that literature plays in a child's emotion and spiritual well being?
Beautiful question. No one's ever asked me that question. I love it. Wow. I feel it's a way to kind of inscribe on a child's soul. That's what a book does. Because when a child reads a book, they don't read it once. They keep rereading it and rereading it. They memorize it. A lot of my books are written in rhyme. And songs and rhymes are ways that children can memorize things. It becomes a part of their lives. Like Dr. Seuss is one of my mentors. I love those books. So these deep messages become engraved on a child's soul so that they have that that power and ability, the tools for living more joyfully throughout their lives.
Mhm. Right, right. Okay. So, what advice would you give to aspiring authors who want to write children's books?
Oh my goodness. This is what I tell people. It takes 20 years and 20 minutes to write a children's book. Why? For 20 years, people carry around ideas. Oh, I want to write a children's book about this. They just sit down, and 20 minutes, you can write the first draft of your children's book. It doesn't take long. Get it on paper. Don't walk around with it in your head for another 20 years. Write it down, and then you work on it, you edit it, you have fun, you play with it. Don't take it too seriously. Play around with it, get it to exactly the way you want it. When you have it, the best you can make it, then you send it to a publisher. Of course, people now self publish too. You don't have to wait for a publisher. But here's some more important advice. Once you publish your book, that's just the beginning. Then you need to let people know about your book. And
Right.
there's infinite ways to do that. So just do what you enjoy, or you will burn out right away. I never burn out from letting people know about my books because I only do what I enjoy.
Mhm.
And that's it. I love going on podcasts. I love being on shows. I love spreading the messages of my books. So I do what I enjoy and other people do what they enjoy. Some people are more extroverted. They like to go to book shows and talk to people. That's like too much for me. Whoa. No, I'm more of a one-on-one kind of person. So this is my way. And but I do give presentations. I give presentations to audiences and online, and that I really, really enjoy doing too. So do what you enjoy and have a blast letting people know about your book once it's published. I find this advice is really helpful to people, and like a lot of people contact me about how to write their books. I help people get published and things like that. So that's another thing I enjoy doing, and giving people the encouragement or the advice that they need just to get going, because I really believe that all the creative energy is a gift from the source of all energy, and we are just channels to to spread wonderful messages into the world. So I do enjoy helping other people that have wonderful messages to spread as well. And and I recognize I keep a pad of paper by my bed, and usually when I wake up in the morning, that's when the best ideas come. It's to me, it's like rain coming down. I have to collect all the raindrops on my pieces of paper, and then in the morning I could barely read what I've written. It's like all scribbled because I don't want to wake up my husband in the dark, and I'm scribbling away. And then, like, I just, when I have the papers, I write it up neatly, I type it up, and then they're ready when I work on it some more. So be open to the ideas, be playful about them, and don't worry that it has to be just come out perfect. Just play around with it until you really love what you've written, and then you're ready to send it out.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's see. So some of these questions, as you were talking, you kind of answered a couple of them. So, um, can you
I have a question for you.
okay.
Why did you want to make this podcast?
So the reason for me making it was because, for one, mental health is a topic that's not discussed enough. I mean,
Yep.
it's probably the most important thing in the world, but it's not discussed enough. And,
Yes.
and so I feel like focusing on how to better mental health, how to overcome adversity, how to become a better human being.
Yep.
If each person focuses on those three things, then the world will eventually become a better place, one person at a time.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to be on your podcast. I love what you're doing, and we need more joy in this world. And people don't recognize the secret to happiness is just being grateful. It's incredible. It's so simple. That's our purpose for living, just to give back gratitude. We were given this amazing garden with infinite amount of gifts in it. Every one of us has so many gifts, and we take so much for granted in life. So the more we practice gratitude, the more joy we can experience in life. Especially like if person's had trauma, a difficult childhood, we got to nourish our hungry souls. That's the way to nourish them. Start being grateful for like the simplest things in life, like an orange. Just look at an orange differently. Like The fruit, they're all green. They're like camouflaged in with the leaves. And then when they're ready for us, they become bright and beautiful, the most beautiful colors when they're ready for us. We're ready. That's how they call to us. So they're beautiful for our eyes to see. They smell beautiful. And you see they're individually packaged. Like this peel, it keeps the sweet juiciness in for months until it's ready. This orange was made for me. It's amazing. All the love that was packed into it. And then when we eat it, we finish and we're left with the seeds. The seeds are designed to become so many trees and then an infinite more oranges. It's each orange, just an orange, is designed with so much loving kindness and infinite wisdom. So here's just one tiny gift. Look at all the gifts. Look at your amazing body. Like, be thankful for all the illnesses that you don't have this minute. We all have so many things to be grateful for.
Mhm. Yep, I definitely would agree. I definitely will agree. So, um, you said you're working on three other books as well.
Yes.
So, do you have like estimated release date for any of those?
I'm not sure. Probably by the fall. Probably by the autumn, they'll be ready to be released. They're almost finished being illustrated, and then they have to be printed, and then they'll be ready for distribution. So it takes a few more months till that happens. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. They're
Are there
in the
any
process now. Yeah.
cool, cool. Um, what other things do you have anything else in the works? You know, outside of the three books that are on the way, do you have like maybe any other shows coming up? Or I know some people have maybe do TEDx talks and things like that. Do you have anything like that coming up?
Oh, I've never applied to do a TEDx talks. I don't even know how you do those. But yeah, I do lots of shows, and I just I am just loving sharing this all over the world. I speak in no, I don't travel to many different countries. I do this all from my home. I go on shows and I'm all over in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, United States, in the Middle East, all over, and everybody can understand. Everybody relates because we all this is universal. We all need this, and um, I'll tell you. Oh, and I also wanted to mention that I talk about the pleasure ladder, which is based on ancient mystical wisdom. It's timeless wisdom. It applies today as well. And people, if they want to, they can download the pleasure ladder, the chart from my website, and they could put it on their fridge or their cabinets totally free. It's going to remind you that we have so many ways to bring gratitude, pleasure into our lives at any moment. We have the power in our own hands. There's 5 rungs on the pleasure ladder. It corresponds to our 5 fingers. We have the power to do this. We can bring pleasure into our lives, not dependent on anybody else. It's not like we need that or we need this. We already have so many blessings in our lives. We just need to become more grateful people. And that is a total joy. There's nothing to lose by being grateful. So I encourage people to download the chart and put it on their fridge or any place in their house where they're going to remember to look at it when you feel like overeating or engaging in any other addictive behavior, or you feel depressed or lonely, alienated, cut off from other people. It reminds you how to connect again, how to feel grateful for things in our life, for other people. They don't have to be present. It gets us to focus on what we appreciate about other people by doing meaningful things in this world, by shining our own beautiful light. and recognizing that we are all connected. All of these things help to change our lives and help us to become more grateful, more connected, more joyful people. Because why do we feel alone? We feel disconnected. We just need more connection, and gratitude creates that bridge of connection. It's the secret ingredient.
Right. So is there anything else that you would like to bring to the audience's attention or anything before we wrap it up?
Yes, I'll tell you one little last thing. Picture a person on top of a building ready to jump off. And the lady across the way, she sees him up there and she says, "Don't jump, whatever you do." And he goes, "Why not? There's no reason for me to continue." And she says to him, "I'm sure that your life is filled with pain and you have so many problems. What if, in addition to all your problems, what if you were also blind? And what if this minute you were given the gift of sight? Would you still jump off?" And he says, "No way." And she says, "Okay, here's the gift of sight. Open your eyes and see that there are so many blessings in your life despite all the problems. You got up to the top of this building. Your legs are working. Your arms are moving. Your brain is working. You have so much to be grateful for." And that's all of us. We are all blind. All of us can be more grateful than we already are.
Mhm.
It's universal. So that's what I want people to remember. I had a point in my life when I did not want to go on. I am so grateful that I did. I hit rock bottom. I know what it's like, and I just want to encourage everybody just to be grateful with any problems you still have. I still have problems. Everybody has problems. If we didn't have problems, we wouldn't be here. We're here because we still have challenges to work on,
Mhm.
and and also we're here to live more gratefully, and just that's what we have to give back in this world.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I agree. So I want to take this time to tell you that I thank you very much for taking the time out your busy schedule to come on and have a chat with me and talk to the audience today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. You asked great questions. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. So everybody that's out there watching, you guys, you go and support her any way you can. Go purchase one of the books. You know, follow her on social media. Go to her website, wherever you can. Go support her right now. But you guys have just watched another episode of All in Our Alex, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.